this meeting to order, the Board of Franklin County Commissioners, Wednesday, December 21st, 2022. It's 8:30 a.m. Roll call.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Present.
Commissioner Harris?
Present.
Chair Dunn?
Present.
Vice Chair Dickinson?
Present.
Commissioner Waymire?
Present.
Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Stay standing for the invocation.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning.
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 I'm Brian Mann from Advent Health, and I'm the chaplain there. I invite you to pray with me. Lord, we thank you so much for another day to be able to serve the people. We ask, Lord, that you would bless our leadership, Franklin County commissioners, those that are in this room. Lead us, guide us, so that we might make the best decisions, the decisions that you would choose for us to make. Lead us, guide us, save us. Bless our nation, bless this county. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you.
Correspondence. Okay. Any public comment?
No.
Okay. Okay, our consent agenda. Consider and approve claim vouchers of $743,319.10. Tax change orders of minus $435.05. Commission study session minutes for December 12th. Commission minutes for December 14th.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Chair Dunn?
Yes. Okay, items up for business are all procedural items. Janet Pack, County Clerk, want to go ahead and get us started?
Yep, so the first item on your agenda is the budget amendment. So need to open a public hearing to hear any questions or concerns regarding the budget amendment. And then after we've heard comments, then we'll close that and vote on the budget amendment. So the amendments to the budget this year are on the whole budget amendment is attached to the agenda today. We're amending 4 funds. The first one is the general fund, and as I put in your cover letter, we are amending the general fund to make room for the bond defeasance that we did earlier this year. And we may have had enough room in there to do that, but we just wanted to make sure that we covered that. We transferred those ARPA funds to our general fund and defease bonds with that. So that's the $3 million increase that's in there for the general fund. The hospital sales tax, we do our best 18 months in advance to estimate what's going to come in on the sales tax. And we found that it was going to be a little bit short this year. So we amended that slightly to $2.7 million from 2.5. But as you know, the revenue that comes in is all sales tax. It's not any tax revenue or anything else. So the special parks and recreation, again, the same thing. We try to make our best guess 18 months in advance how much we're going to get in there. But as you guys know, we've been receiving a substantial amount more in our alcohol funds due to liquor by the drink being sold out at the micro distillery that had been operating out on the interstate. So we do have some more funds in there to distribute, and if we don't amend that, then we can't pay that out to our recreation districts. So that's for the slight amendment there. And finally, the solid waste fund, we've we've been working to kind of catch up these last few years and get the right amount in there for waste disposal. But when more waste comes in, we have to send more waste out. And so it costs us more money. So we are offsetting those funds like David talked about last week, with increased fees at the transfer station to pay for the increased expenditures going out to transfer that waste to another facility. So that's the increase in the solid waste fund. So those are the 4 funds being amended, and I can answer any questions. If you don't have any questions for me, then we'll just need to open a public hearing.
Here's, help me understand on the ARPA fund. Why, is there a reason why we had to put it in the general fund?
Yes, there is. So we have a consultant that made a recommendation to us that we can use those funds as lost revenue, but we cannot use it for bond defeasance. But any lost revenue, we can cover salaries and other items in our general fund that would be normal operating expenses with lost revenue for ARPA, but we can't use it to defease bonds. So by putting the ARPA funds in our general fund and using those to offset salaries and other regular expenditures as lost revenue, then we can use our regular revenue to defease the bonds.
Maybe this ain't the time to ask, but we had a lot of outside entities that were applied for the ARPA fund. How is that handled in this process?
You guys haven't made any more decisions on any other
Yeah.
ARPA funds, so we still have funds left in that account, and I can get you a balance on that.
That's okay.
You're not
I'm just
putting-
curious how I knew
You're
we
not
had.
putting them all in there, you're only putting that portion that we were gonna
only
use to
moved-
defease bonds.
I
Yeah.
only moved the amount
Yeah.
to the general fund that were used to defease the bonds.
Okay.
That's the only amount. Like I said, we still have money segregated in a separate account that are ARPA funds. The only funds that I've transferred to the general fund for use on the defeasance are what the defeasance actually costs.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm impressed that none of these that we're changing or amending are because we overspent our budget in any of our regular, so good for our department heads. That's
We've really
awesome.
been working to clean those up. There had kind of been some situations before where ambulance had received additional revenue, and so in turn, they have to pay for additional medications and things like that. But we've been working to get those more in line so we don't have to do these amendments at the end of the year.
Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to open a public hearing, a budget hearing to amend the 2022 Franklin County budget.
So move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have any public comment about the 22 budget? Any comments for the 2022 budget? Any comments for the 2022 budget amendments, I guess I should say? Entertain a motion to close the public budget hearing.
Motion.
Yeah, it went quick though.
Who was the second? I heard Don.
I said a motion.
And I did too, so yeah, can you put me down a second?
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Now I entertain a motion to pass amended 2022 amended budget as proposed by the county clerk.
Motion to approve. Second.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yeah.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yeah.
Chair Dunn.
Yes. Okay, consider year-end transfers. Janet, you want to go through these?
So these are all transfers that are planned in our budget. And again, we put that out in our budget document when we approve that. So we've already technically approve these. We just have a formal document for you guys to authorize these transfers. So basically, this document says that we're going to transfer these funds if they're available. So there are some on there like the noxious weed special equipment, for instance. There's been occasions where, we said, well, we don't have the funding available there to transfer that, so we didn't do it. Or sometimes we do something different in road and bridge than what the amount is here. But if these funds are available, we're going to do these transfers. These were already set out in our budget document when we approved that for the 2022 year. So no surprises here and no changes from what you had planned in your budget document. I don't see any reason why we're not going to be able to do all of these.
Any questions, Janet, about this?
Roy, I might chime in that
Okay.
this is actually, this right here is one of my favorite things that the five of you do every year. Particularly if you look at those transfers, the top two on that list to our general fund, our capital improvement fund. That we didn't get to those numbers easily. That took a lot of hard work from county staff to be able to do that. And those numbers are exactly why we've been able to pay cash for big projects. Those numbers are why our bond rating has improved, our financial standing has improved. So I didn't want to let this go by without saying that and without recognizing particularly our leadership team, because for years now, we've either asked them to stay flat or stay about as strict to inflation as they can, and they've all done that very well. So continue to be impressed with them and pleased with where we're at financially.
We also do have some transfers from the general fund, which is our normal operating budget for many of our departments, to our reserve accounts, and those help us keep the costs down in our regular departments. Like, for instance, when a department needs a vehicle and, they know it's coming up, but we don't need it right now, by doing these year-end transfers out of the general fund, then we have that money set aside. So when that department needs that new vehicle, we can go ahead and purchase that, and we don't have to make a regular budget allowance for that. So it really helps us help out each individual department as the need arises, and not plan for it 18 months in advance, because we've been planning for it all along. So we're putting a little bit away each year instead of putting it all away in 1 year. So if you think about it like paying a car payment, where you would pay it over the course of time, we're saving up over the course of time. So when the car is needed, then we can buy it all at once. And we're reaping the benefits of taking the interest off the money instead of paying someone else the interest off the money. So I think this really helps each individual department as much as it helps the county as a whole.
A lot of entities are doing lease purchase, which means that you get it and then you pay for it. We're paying for it and then we get it, which is awesome.
Yeah, so I'm pretty impressed with the total amount of $1.729 million in a transfer. That's pretty impressive. And I just appreciate the management team that's able to do that, Derek, Janet, and everybody else. Okay, a special motion be I make a motion to adopt the resolution to approve the year-end transfers.
I'd like to make a motion, and mainly because I worked here through the times when we didn't have this carryover, and I was there when we did borrow money to buy everything. So we're down to road graders, I guess, now just about the only thing, and that has its own purpose. So I make a motion to accept.
Second?
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Chair Dunn.
Yes, and this resolution, what's the number on that?
I believe it's going to be 49.
49, okay.
I'll verify that when I get back to the office, and then we'll get it
You want me to
certified.
sign that or not at this time?
I have one over here that's the official one for you.
Next item up for business is neighborhood revitalization properties for approval. Janet?
Okay, so you have these neighborhood revitalization properties in front of you. You have 2 batches of them here. And as always, the city sends these over to you guys after they've been reviewed by the Neighborhood Revitalization Committee. So this one that you're looking at first has 3 in the residential new and 6 in the residential remodel. And you can see the payout structure there, according to the plan. 95% of the incremental value for 10 years on new, and 95% of the incremental value for 5 years on the residential remodel. The packet that's attached to your agenda has all the information about each property. And you're giving your approval for these properties to be entered into the program as they meet all the requirements of the program rules as you guys have approved, in conjunction with the city and the school district. So that's all on this one.
Okay. Anybody have any comments about this? Okay, a specific action is to make a motion to approve the proposed properties into the neighborhood revitalization programs as each property meets the program requirements.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Sotomayor?
Yeah.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson? Chair Dunn.
Yes. Okay, Janet.
Okay, and the last one is one more batch of neighborhood revitalization properties. You have 6 that have been approved by the committee for the residential new, again, the 95% of incremental value for 10 years. And then you have 4 there for your residential remodel for 95% of the incremental value for 5 years. And then you do have 1 commercial that they're estimating will be 20% or more. They do make a final determination on that, and if that property doesn't meet the 20%, it would go into the other category of the 10 to 19%. So again, all of those determinations are made at the end of the project after the final valuation has came in on the project, and these don't go into the program until they've met all the requirements of the program.
Anybody have any comments about any of these?
I think that commercial one is the building that's next to Zelda's. That used to be a payday loan, and they put that greenhouse in the back. And that definitely.
Yeah, they do have
is
a
an
new parking
improvement over
lot,
what it was.
a new parking lot area there also, yes, doing a lot of work there.
Okay. As a motion, I make a motion to approve the proposed properties into the neighborhood revitalization program as each property meets the program requirements.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Sotomayor?
Yeah.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Chair Dunn.
Yes. That's the end of our regular business items for today. Staff reports. Derek?
Yeah, I just have a couple things. It's interesting, Dawn, that you brought up ARPA funds. I actually had a note here to talk about that, and I don't have the balance, but Janet, is it not around $1 million?
So,
So we can get an exact balance of funds that haven't been encumbered yet. But that is something that I intend to kind of start the discussion on again at the start of '23 is.
Can I ask something while
You
you're there?
bet.
Does that million include the money for the ambulance, or is it in the other pot of money?
I believe that is in the encumbered portion of the funds.
The million,
No,
the other?
the other.
Okay.
I think, and don't quote me on that, but I
Okay.
think we have around $1 million after the ambulance station as well. But we'll verify that.
Thank you.
But yeah, you might start thinking about that again. I don't know that we've had a ton of requests, but we have had a few from outside entities. And certainly, I think about Public Works. We have plenty of projects that we feel like could benefit all of the citizens if the decision was made to spend that money internally. So there will be some options there.
We had that conversation kind of before we decided to do the design work on Old 50 too. I mean, somewhat of a high-level conversation that generally that's where we're gonna put the majority of the funds, not open it up to requests and send it outside the county organization. But that, I guess is my recollection, my understanding, that's why we decided to go forward on the design work for Old 50.
Oh, I thought we were doing that just so we'd be ready if funds became available from the state. Anyway, we'll revisit it, I guess.
In any event, yeah, that's a conversation that could be revisited. In terms of the Wellsville Ambulance Station, just had a conversation with Tyler Ellsworth yesterday. So we are trying to get the written bids from Wellsville. We want to look at them and see, we pledged the 500,000. The quote from the contractor that is remodeling their portion has went up, and we want to see the difference. I think my understanding is that it's still below 500,000, but it doesn't include signage and some of the other stuff that we thought. And so we want to see it before it makes more sense to Tyler and I to hash these things out on the front end before we put it in front of the governing bodies. So just know that we're still working through all of that. Yesterday, Tom had a meeting up in the EOC just to prepare for this weather event. For whatever reason, it never ceases to amaze me, the logistics that go into that and how well prepared we are. Tom does a great job. David and Jeff Welton and Public Works, Pat Campbell, they do a great job being ready. The sheriff's office is ready. Christy and Louise have ambulance ready. The city had numerous personnel there. They're ready. People don't realize, I don't think, how much planning and work goes into that and how much the timing of the response matters in terms of doing it efficiently and effectively. So just very impressed, very pleased with that group. Next week, so Monday's a holiday, so we won't have a study session. Want to talk about Wednesday. Roy, if we don't have anything, or I'll open it up. Normally, that's the chair's call, but we rarely cancel Wednesday meetings, but is there an objection to potentially canceling? You're in the last week of the year. I know I've got staff heading out of town today after this meeting. Do you have any thoughts on that?
If you don't have anything for the agenda.
And we might, I don't know. It's early for me to know that. I don't know because we're not having a study session and I have the five of you here.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any problem with canceling a week from today's meeting.
Well, and I may walk out and Dave may tell me, or Kenny may tell me that they have something and we'll be here. In the event that. Okay.
Anybody have any comments about that?
No, under circumstances,
No sense having a meeting, just have a meeting.
That's right.
In the event that this is our last meeting of the year, I just want to take a second and thank county staff. Really happy with where we're at. And I swear I've sat here in years past and have thought I'm not sure how we could do it better. I mean, we're not to say we don't make mistakes, but we work so hard to be so responsible with taxpayer dollars, and that takes the effort of so many people. And I'm thankful for those people. I'm thankful for our leadership team. I think the thing that impresses me most, I mean, you think about Janet and David and Brenda and Dustin, and I could go through and I could name them all, but these are people, they could work a lot of different places. They have a lot of opportunities, yet they choose to work here. And that says something. I mean, because these jobs aren't easy. The people that we have to listen to and the things we have to deal with, it's not easy. It's not always fun. Sometimes we carry that with us, but they believe in what we are doing, and they come here and they choose to work here. And I could say that about so many of our people. Could say that about most of our people. So really grateful for them, really grateful for the 5 of you, because what we've built here is healthy. You know, we've sold, let's come together, let's be efficient, let's pool our money, but then there's the 5 of you that are open-minded and say, okay, when we come to you with projects, you reward them for their effort by saying, okay, let's do that. Let's do engineering on Old 50. And it's just, it's created just, I don't know how else to describe it, just a healthy framework where their efforts are rewarded by the 5 of you. So appreciate the 5 of you, really happy with where we're at. And that's all I have, Roy. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for those comments, Derek. Paul, do you want to talk?
Morning, Commissioners. Merry Christmas
Thank you.
and Happy Winter. I want to echo, Derek allowed me to go to that emergency management meeting yesterday, and I just came away just wowed about the organization and the communication and just the amount of teamwork and effort that these public servants provide. And I just came out of there so proud to be in Franklin County in Ottawa, that the way they work together and all of those people, you heard it over and over in the meeting, is we just want people to be safe. We don't want anybody to get hurt. And so can't echo enough what Derek said about those folks. We are very, very blessed here in Franklin County. Christmas has come early for us. I mentioned last week that we received some nice news about broadband grants. We have 2 bids, or two applicants that were funded, which was great surprise to me. I thought maybe one of them would be, but didn't think the state would give 2 grants to one county. But we're going to have over $8 million of state funding come into our county and our region for broadband. That's going to provide service to over 2,000 locations that don't currently have broadband. So I think that's a significant moment for us. Very excited about it. That's the state investment. Then the private enterprises, QuickCom and MoCan are the 2 companies, are putting 7 figures into that as well. So huge investment in broadband in our county. It doesn't cover everybody yet, but it's a great step forward. These 2 programs are focused around Pomona, excuse me, and Rantoul. A lot of infrastructure work to do around the Rantoul area, so it's a bigger project, but very excited about what that can do for all segments of the economy. It's also helps with education, helps with emergency and safety and healthcare, so very, very excited about that. You've probably heard me talk about the Moderate Income Housing Grant Program that the state has as well. That's to help communities like ours build housing for workforce. And you probably saw where the city of Ottawa was awarded a grant from $120,000 from the state for some housing development, single family and some duplex construction here in the city. We're busily working on round 2, and the state's kind of tweaked that a little bit. Round 2, there's two pipelines to apply for. One is a program where their preference is to fund programs in communities that are approximately 10,000 or less, then the other pipeline is they're releasing some of their ARPA money and allowing that for large projects. So you can work on the smaller ones, and you can also work on finding developers that'll do a major project. And so we've already had one meeting just yesterday down at the city kind of looking at some applications and options. One of the things that's come to light, and I'm trying to get verification on it, hopefully we'll get that today, but it might be possible for the city to promote one of those programs and for the county to promote one of those programs. And so what that would mean is that maybe there's two projects, one's a small one and one's a large one in Ottawa proper, and the city could make application to the state for one of those, and the county could make application for one of those. I also know Wellsville's going to make an application for a large one as well. Derek and I just, in a hallway conversation, just very, very preliminary conversations about if that's something the county might be interested in. So a lot more discussion to have on that. Not saying that'll happen or it would be, obviously, be your decision, but just want you to know we're kind of kicking tires on that, trying to get a little more information. And my position is if it's feasible and it makes sense, that way the county gets 3 applications in, and the more we get in the ballgame, the better our chances to get more state money back to our community. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. And then last, Proximity Park, we've got 3 active leads on Proximity Park as I stand before you today. So that's kind of ramped up a little bit from a pretty slow time. We've had a fair amount of activity. I think I've had 5 inquiries this month. 3 of them we've responded to. The other 2, we just didn't have either the land or they wanted a specific building. But it's nice to see a little uptick in activity there as well. So happy to answer any questions.
Well, they expand broadband, does that mean they're putting in fiber optics grid?
Yeah. Putting in the fiber optic. Yep. So a lot of digging and a lot of money going into the ground, but that's what you got to do to get it going.
Just be careful in our road ditches. Put
Yeah.
that stuff down deep.
Yeah. There you go. I
don't wanna
should
be-
probably talk to my friend David.
Yeah, we don't wanna
I'm sure they will be. Well, they want to or not.
We don't want to cut those lines. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
You too. Kenny, you want to talk to us about anything? Okay, Brandon, I think you got something.
Morning.
Morning.
Just a couple of things. So this has been kind of a drawn-out process, trying to figure out a solution to our glue coming up through the floors in this building, but we're closing in on that. So just kind of wanted to update you on what we're finding out there. The solution that's been proposed is to pull up some areas of the floor. Right now, we're kind of focusing on the worst spots. There's really 3 main areas that are pretty bad. The company that did the install is going to come back and pull the flooring back, grind the concrete down to fresh substrate down below, put a kind of a waterproofing barrier down, and then reinstall the floor on top of that. That is actually the plan is that's going to mitigate the moisture that we're having coming up through the slab. That's the problem. It's nothing from the top down, it's actually from underneath. So after having many conversations with them, those 3 areas that we have the worst trouble in, they're going to take care of those free of charge for us, which is awesome. If we decide to do everything and we want them to do the whole project, all the hallways, that would include some areas in the health department that were done at the same time. They asked if we could split that cost 50-50 if we decide to do that. Our portion of that, if we did that, would be $20,000 to do that. They're looking at logging their time and material for that. So if it's less, great, it would be less, but it's not to exceed that amount. So for now, we're just going to move forward with the free option, and we're going to make sure that that works before I come back up here and say, hey, what do you think about doing the rest? Those are my thoughts. If you have other ideas, I'm happy to hear them.
we've discussed this pretty extensively, but I want the five of you to, my concern about splitting the overall cost and spending the 20 grand is we don't know if it's gonna solve the problem, and then we're right back to where we were, whereas this will at least allow us to figure that out.
Yeah,
Is it
absolutely.
gonna work? You have any thoughts on that?
When we talked about this project at the beginning, that was brought up as an issue, but we were told that the waterproofing they put down then had a warranty, and as long as it was applied, that we'd be safe.
So they did moisture tests, relative humidity moisture tests, before they even started the project. Based off of those results, they recommended a different adhesive. So there wasn't a waterproofing that was put down, it was a different adhesive that was not supposed to break down under the moisture that we were seeing. Since that time, they came back and, after we were seeing glue, and retested, and some of those areas were now higher than they were when they tested previously. So that number fluctuates, and when it's high, it's breaking down. It's actually, I think, really, it's breaking down little bits of old glue that was down that maybe didn't get scraped up all the way. It might be breaking down some of the adhesive, the spray adhesive they put down, but that's, so yeah, when we first started this, we did everything right to make sure that we weren't in this position, but here we are, so.
Can they reuse the surface, put that back down, or they have to do?
The plan is, yeah, so the integrity of the panels are, and they're good. So, the plan is to put down
Put it right back on?
right back down, yeah,
Okay.
yep. We do have some extra if there's any that are not gonna work that we can replace, but yeah, that's the plan, it's just.
Like, this room looks like it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, so can you spot so that you're not redoing the whole project?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, yeah, we just need this and this, but I'd definitely like to see, maybe have them redo those parts and then take a tour and just see if there's anything else that we really think needs to be.
Sure. Absolutely. Aside from that, we're, getting ready for this snowstorm. We're gonna be out there playing in the snow as well, making sure that people can get in and out of the buildings without slipping and falling. So this is the most fun snowstorm to kind of deal with when it's falling right in the middle of the day. I'd much prefer the middle of the night ones that you can clear at once and be done, but it's gonna be an all-day ordeal for us tomorrow. Besides that, we're just kind of putting together a project list for the spring, just little things. We're gonna start working on restriping the parking lot out here at the annex and some other properties as well. We had hoped to do that in the fall, but the paint was unavailable anywhere. So I just checked yesterday and I found some. So we're gonna get that ordered and shoot for that in the spring, and just some other odds and ends things that we need some warmer weather to accomplish, so. That's all I have.
See any big projects on the horizon?
The only one I can really think of offhand that we probably need to be discussing at some point is there's a air conditioning unit on the third floor of the jail that only does the third floor. It's getting pretty old and gonna need some attention, but still need to kind of get some budget pricing for that and kind of figure out where we're gonna go there, so.
Yeah.
You haven't been here for the last few weeks, but I heard that over Thanksgiving weekend, you and your gang were pretty much saviors to the visitor center when the sump pump quit working and
Yeah,
they had
yeah.
water in the basement.
She called and said, hey, there's about an inch of water on the floor, and I thought, I got off the phone, and 9 times out of 10, things get over-exaggerated, right?
Right,
So I get there thinking, okay, there's probably a little bit of, no, there was a lot of water on the floor, yep. Sump pump quit working, and, yeah.
Yeah,
So
they
we
very
got
much
that all cleaned
appreciated
up.
that.
Yeah,
You guys jumping right in there and getting taken care of that, so we appreciate that.
absolutely. All right, thank you.
Thanks, man.
Brandon?
Sheriff.
Commissioners, I just have a couple different things to talk about. As you know, we have, in the past couple of years, we have been a part of the Northeast Kansas Drug Task Force. which is that multi-jurisdictional task force that operates out of Johnson County. Some of the cases that our detectives have worked on were some pretty large, significant federal cases, and we recently received some seizure money from one of those, just over $109,000. And so I want to let you guys know what we're looking to do with that. We have it's an LPR, license plate reader. It's a system that is it's installed in one of our vehicles, and it has cameras on it. You'll probably see them driving up and down the road. And what it does is it reads license plates as they're driving, and it can tell them if there's a stolen vehicle or it's associated with something that needs some attention. So ours is getting pretty outdated. The one that we have now was originally purchased with drug seizure funds several years ago. One of the things that we're looking to do with this new seizure funds is to replace that system because the technology on it is just getting pretty outdated. And that's going to cost us about $30,000, but that includes the equipment, the installation, and all of that. It's not like a surveillance thing where we're keeping track of people. It's hey, our guys could run that tag and get the information back through dispatch, but this does it automatically for them as they're driving past those vehicles. So it's a good tool for us to use. The other thing that we are looking to do, we have that LPR system ordered, and we have all that moving already. We're still doing some research on a drone project. And our thinking on this is we currently have access. The police department and fire department do help us out, but they don't always have pilots available. For us to fly a drone, because we are a government entity, you have to have people that go through training. They get certified by FAA. There's a lot of rules that go in, so they have to be actually trained and certified to do that. So those entities don't always have someone available. What we look for and where we use them is we take a lot of photographs on accident scenes, crime scenes, things like that. Now with the technology that they have on these devices, it has GPS location, it has all that, so we can fly that scene and get everything mapped out, get all that done a lot faster than the way that we're doing it now, and it provides those aerial shots. The other couple other things that we believe it will benefit us is we have most of our crashes are higher speeds, and sometimes we don't know if there is someone else that was in that vehicle, so we walk a lot of fields and things like that. So if we can have that drone that has the FLIR, we can fly that area, and we can look for people a lot quicker, help us with missing persons and things like that as well. So we're still in the research part of that, trying to figure out what it is that we need, what the cost on that would be. So, but I wanted to let the commission know that's something that we are looking at. But again, all those would just be with seizure funds that have come from some of our drug cases. Moving to the jail, as you know, we had a lot of programming type stuff that we did in our jail that went away when COVID happened, because people weren't coming into, we didn't have outside entities coming into our facility. We took that time to actually evaluate the programs that we had to make sure that they are beneficial for the inmates that are receiving that, as well as the organizations that are coming in and providing that. So not all of the organizations that had been coming in on a regular basis are back doing that, because it was determined that the demand for that from the inmates was not there, and what the organizations, they serve a good purpose outside of our facility, but it was not necessarily a good use of their time to be coming in there. So, so what we have done, and this may surprise our IT director to hear it from me, but technology can actually be our friend. Who would have thought that? But we can provide a lot of programming in our jail, and I think I may have mentioned it before, but we've rolled it out this week, and that is Through our phone company, we are in the jail. They also provide little things, devices called chirps. Basically, they text on it and that's it. But this company still has another piece of equipment. It's a tablet. And on that tablet, it is downloaded. On that tablet, it has some different programs, some religious programming, educational programming, some wellness apps and things like that. So the inmates can view those things and participate in those things at no cost to them and no cost to the county. The things that are on that are interesting, aside from really the wellness app is a very good thing. It gives them kind of some tools and some ways to kind of decompress and to relieve their anxiety through those. But there's the education side of that is pretty important. They can take math classes and English classes. They can learn to write resumes and things like that. There's parenting classes on there as well. So every place that we've seen that has done it, it has there's been really good feedback, and it seems to be a good program. And so we'll be evaluating this kind of like we did everything, the other programs, to make sure that what we're providing for them is a good thing. And again, right now, it's no cost to the county. The way that the company that makes money off of it is that the inmates they can purchase movies and things like that that they can watch on there. Of course, we screen what movies that they are allowed to purchase, what music they're allowed to get on there, and things like that. So just a couple updates from patrol and the jail side that I wanted to talk about. Do you guys have any questions about any of those?
So the company provides the tablets?
Yes, the company provides the tablets. They download the information on it. Like one of the things that has been a kind of a hot topic for the last few years has been a law library. We have that on our kiosk, but now the law library will also be on that tablet. And so that's kind of an important thing for the inmates to have access to as well. And it will be on there. So, and it does not cost us anything. And then the last thing I have is it's been talked about that we have a storm coming in. This is, from what they're telling us, it's the wind and the cold is what is going to be really bad on this. So we just want to encourage people to be smart when they go out. Don't drive through big drifts. Even if it's a powdery snow, it could still damage your vehicle, or you could lose control of your vehicle. But some of the what we call common sense things, we just want to remind people of: to have a blanket in their car, keep your phone charged, have a flashlight, and just the simple thing of, if you're out traveling, let somebody know when you leave and where you're going, so that if you don't make it to your destination, we've got an idea as to where they could maybe go look for you. Because with the temperatures the way that they're talking, it won't take very long for somebody to get frostbite and hypothermia, and some problems could come. So we just want to encourage everyone to stay safe. If they don't have to be out, then it'd be great to not be out, and then David's guys will have more access on the road to get things cleared. So it'd be better for that. So that's all I have. I just want Merry Christmas, everybody. And
I saw somebody was selling their Chiefs games Chiefs tickets for Saturday. They can have them.
yeah,
I don't think I'm interested.
yeah.
Would you like to have a pair of tickets to the Harvard game tomorrow night at KU?
Well, that's inside at least. That's inside.
I think I've done ruled that one out.
Kyle, do you have anything for us? Kyle? Okay. Dustin? Okay, David?
Okay, so I think we are ready for this upcoming storm. You've heard talk about the meeting at the EOC yesterday. That's always a great time for all of us, just to make sure that we're all on the same page, and to reaffirm those lines of communication and priorities and that sort of thing. So time very well spent. The road and bridge and really the whole public works staff, I think we're ready for this as well. We've met with our snowplow drivers, both the day shift and the night shift. They've all been briefed, and we'll have the day shift folks out today, adding additional material to our hilly areas, the spots and curves and bridges. So we'll get some additional material out at those locations before they leave for the day. We also met with our blade operators this morning to discuss kind of best practices and procedures for this impending storm due to the type of storm event it's going to be with the cold temperatures and the high winds. Really, that's the part that we're most concerned about as well. Not only on our people, but also on our equipment. When you get temperatures that low, diesel tends to gel, and so we're trying to we're going to be working through those issues. We also, our recycling center, we've kind of modified operations there Thursday and Friday. We're not going to be sending those trucks out. We don't want to add to the folks on the road in those conditions, so our folks will be staying in the center, kind of prepping it for the long weekend. And then out at the landfill, we're going to be open as long as the commercial trash haulers are going to be open. We have been in communication with them. We've visited with each one of those firms, and they all plan to run for as long as their equipment holds out. And so we will have folks on site being able to handle that material like we always do. But in the event that those trash haulers shut their operations down, there's really no sense for us to be open either. And so we will make that call at the appropriate time. But we will work hand in hand with those commercial haulers. The idea is to keep our folks out of the elements as much as possible while still remaining open. And so we're going to be doing that. In all of the meetings and conversations that we've had this week related to the snow, I really got to say the Public Works staff is kind of taken a business as usual approach to this. It's just another day. They are taking all the necessary safety precautions and that sort of thing, but they've really had a great attitude about it, and I feel like that's unusual, and for them to all be, every one of them to be where they need to be, when they need to be there with a good attitude, get it done attitude is amazing. And so I just want to thank them for being on the forefront, just like the EMS and Sheriff's Department and other services being willing to do that without complaint. I think that's just a testament to the kind of employees that we have for this county. So with that, I would also like to echo Sheriff Richards' comments to the general public. If you can stay home, please do, and avoid snow drifts if at all possible, just to make this a little simpler on everybody. So happy to answer any questions.
Where are we at with some of our projects, like Old 50 came up, and then Osborne Bridge, and
So the Old 50 is still in the finishing the design phase. I am looking for funding options. There was just an announcement from KDOT on the high-risk rural roads funding. We will be eligible for that funding through the local road safety plan that we're having done, which is not quite complete. In fact, I'm still waiting on the consultant, KDOT's consultant, to provide us the list of projects that they're recommending. I also continue to look for other funding mechanisms. I believe that the route that's going to be most advantageous for us is probably what's it called? It's I've lost the funding name, but there is a funding stream out there that they do twice a year. And so in the spring, I anticipate bringing that before you. Some of the awards that they gave this year were up to $1.5 million. And I think with the funds that we have kind of set aside for that, we'll be able to pay the $2.5 million price tag on the phase one. And I think that this is going to be an attractive project for KDOT to approve because of the circumstances out there. So I'm somewhat confident in that.
When do you expect the safety plan and the design work to be done?
The design work should be done here within the next couple of months. I haven't been pressing them simply because we don't have a funding source yet.
Do we need to have that project designed in order to submit?
The plans are far enough along now that when we apply for funds, we will be able to confidently say that
Okay.
we have these plans on the shelf and that we're going to be ready to go very, very quickly to go to construction, which should make us more attractive. The Osborne Terrace Bridge Replacement Project, we are waiting on some final permits. And so the bid date has been pushed back to April of 2023, but everything else is good to go. And once we get that final permit, which should happen just any day now, we're just waiting on the bid date. And so that is going to go to construction this fall, or next year.
Chip seal, what are your thoughts for this year's batch? Is it larger, smaller, and then?
It's going to be approximately the same, about 35 to 40 miles, and we'll be,
What's our total? Are we close to that 20%?
it's close. 50 miles it would be approximately 20%.
Gotcha.
The cost of the material has gone up, and so really paying attention to the miles that we do, bringing that down just a little bit. But it's scheduled to be kind of in the northwest part of the county this next year. And I anticipate bringing that to you within the first couple of weeks of January to get that bid.
Yeah, good.
And then we'll also be looking at dust control right after the first of the year. All of those normal things will be coming to you early so that we, if we're earlier in the year, typically we take a little better advantage of costs. More people are likely to bid because they haven't filled up their schedule, so we try to take advantage of that. And 23 will be no different than we did this last year. And then we'll have a host of other things that, project-wise, that I'll be bringing before you all to discuss priorities for 23 and beyond.
Suffice to say, you could use ARPA funds if we decided to dedicate them to you.
If you had $10, I would take it. If you had $10 million, I would take it. And we could find appropriate homes for all of that, appropriate use of those dollars. We have a long list of things that we could address with the money that would become available.
The easiest way to say, how many bridges do we have?
240 something.
So if we replaced them when they were 100 years old, we've replaced 2.4 a year.
Yeah, and there's no way that we can do that. Although I do have some of our smaller bridges, at some point we'll be talking about some alternative construction methods that might be more appropriate in a few locations for bridges that are needed that we can't take off the inventory. I'm still working on a couple of others that I would like to take out of our inventory because of the circumstances associated with them. All of those things are moving forward. Not quite as quickly as I would want, but they are moving forward.
Any more questions, David? Okay, Janet? Okay, Commissioners, Don?
Yeah, I did attend the Wellsville meeting last Wednesday. Main thing on their agenda was they did give their employees their raises, and they can take a little different angle than we can because they don't have near the employees. So their angle is that they want to, instead of across the board, they're pinpointing their progressive employees, I guess you want to call them, the people they think that are really producing and going on, and they've given their department heads a little open gap there to where they could go a little more over the top, not just the average for everybody in that. And they can do that because they don't have near, where you got departments on the 2 people or 3 people or to one purpose. So it sounded like they wanted to really put an emphasis on the people that stay in there and being there and producing. They did have an update from the township and fire department. And I know it always seems like from their information, they work real good with the ambulance up there with support for the ambulance when they go out and just helping regulating traffic and just other things, helping with getting in and out of places. They voted to move their reserve funds to Mid-America Bank up there. They give them a little better number on the reserve fund. So they didn't move them all, but they're going to move half of them and just kind of see how that goes. They putting in some new water lines, redoing heating, cooling, ductwork in the firehouse where the ambulance is. They thought, and they said in an open meeting, they thought it had built up a fungus or something in it. It wasn't. It just a lot of things collected over the years. So they got an outside company. The only other thing I kind of wanted to bring up today is hope. And I think it's something maybe we could talk about. I've been looking into it. I've had people ask me about it. And it seems like since COVID has kind of slowed down, the state of Kansas is really putting money out there for tourism and connecting it to economic development and to marketing, what they do. And they got like $38 million in ARPA funds they're going to put out to different groups in the state of Kansas for that project. They got $250,000 grants for enhancing attractions, certain attractions. You're like roads in a tractor show and a car show. I mean, if you could bring something else in like that, they have some pretty good money. We'd have to look into these, our tourism director, look into a lot of them just headlines and the whole story. And that is $2 million grant they're putting out there to boost tourism. But they keep talking about this being an economic development. And basically those 2 programs bring a lot of economic development in the community. And then there's another one I couldn't get into. We're considered part of the Kansas City Metro now, aren't we? As far as there's another like a $2 billion grant there, the money available for the same kind of economic development through. So this might be something our group tourism might look at. It seems to be something that the government and the state conference is really promoting to make these generate more funds and more economic benefits. That's all I got. Okay. Thank you.
I'll tell you, Don, Christina Claire does an excellent job with tourism. So I know her and Paul frequently work well together. So I'll gladly have her look into that and at least explore the details. So.
I know it's something, it takes somebody like her and him to read through the fine print. Everything has, as a lawyer, everything has this fine print to it. But it sounds like they're more eager to promote now than they have been in the past. And a lot of that money is tied to HARPA's money. So it's money that's sitting there, kind of like ours, make a decision of what we want to do with it. So.
Hey, Ron? Leah?
Last Wednesday, we had a joint luncheon and discussed possible expansion of the neighborhood revitalization district in Ottawa. And it sounds from the meeting that they had on Monday that they actually might add a couple of areas still before they finalize that to include some that we were talking about that we maybe should include also. And we had a little bit of a discussion on the 30% food that some of the South Beach and the brewery are having, and possible solutions to that we might need to work together on getting that move forward. And I think everybody was kind of pretty much in agreement that that's something maybe we could work on. Wednesday I also had the hospital board meeting, and I know people have been asking about the sales tax. So in the January meeting, they will be having, the hospital board will be having the discussion on where the tax should go for 2023. And that's not our decision, that's theirs. There were a couple of chamber open houses. One was last Friday for North 40 Photography. Josie Alexander, she has some of her landscapes there at Corner Market. Some nice prints there. She also does family photography. She does also a lot of photography for the chamber. And then on Tuesday, they had one at GSSB. Mike Skidmore, who's going to be retiring by the end of the year, and Kyle Pine, who is right now doing the Pomona, will be doing both of them, kind of like Mike had done in the past. And so they had a nice chamber coffee on Tuesday. And then, I don't know, they're still talking about this. The chamber is supposed to be having their open house chili dinner tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see if that
That
happens.
Thursday,
So
Friday.
that's tomorrow, right in the middle of the snowstorm, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, at 11, from 11 to 1:30. And then, let's see, what else was there? I got to help deliver the Christmas bags to the employees, had a lot of fun doing that. That was really nice. I heard a lot of good comments on, I don't think you guys have gotten yours yet, so we'll see what you think about it. I did go to the open house that Christina had for the visitor, at the visitor center volunteers on Friday. That was also nice, a nice gathering. And I think that's all I have. Merry Christmas to all.
Cool.
I took it out on David. We're good.
Okay. I just want to say I appreciate everyone that took part in that emergency preparedness meeting the other day. I guess it was yesterday. And, it's amazing how much planning it takes to get ready for these big storm events of any kind. So I really appreciate our road and bridge department, what they do during these storms. I certainly don't want to get out, but these guys get out and do the job, and so pretty appreciative to all of Franklin County. They're able to do that. I just want to mention that Sue McKay has resigned being our Register of Deeds, and I think tonight they might be, Democratic Party might be deciding on the replacement for Sue, and I think we have sound like I had a couple good candidates for that position, so that'll be coming up real quick, and just wish Sue the very best, all the years she put in for Franklin County as Register of Deed. It's anybody that's worked 40 years for one entity is pretty amazing and pretty dedicated person. So I thank Sue McKay for her work for Franklin County. Since this is going to be probably the last meeting for this year, I just didn't know for sure when reorganization is going to take place in January. Do you have an idea about that?
It's usually the second Monday.
Second Monday? Okay.
8th, 9th, I mean.
Yeah, that would be the 9th, it looks like. So we would,
We have a regular study session. That's a regularly scheduled study session day.
and so we could just piggyback on that, could we not?
Yeah, or, yeah.
So we would meet, if we don't meet next week, we would meet on Wednesday, the 4th. That would be our next regularly scheduled meeting. And then, yeah, the 9th, as Janice said, we have a study session and would do reorg that day. So we would get together one more time before reorganization.
Okay. Good enough. I just want to wish everybody a good holiday season. Even with the bad weather, enjoy the Christmas and the New Year's, all the bowl games and all that good stuff that's coming up around the corner. Thanks, everybody, for being here today. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Come on. Second.
We're adjourned.